later on. We'll talk about it in the book. But the whole purpose of the book was to say, do we really want a country where the Congress abdicates and doesn't check the president and we become an autocracy? Or do we want a strong president who just literally smashes the world? And one of the only thing Congress has to do is check the president. That's its main role. It's got a lot of other roles, declaring war, interstate commerce. It's got a lot of roles. But the big reason the checks and powers are in is because that is the only way you can protect freedom and democracy. Is when one of our, whether it's the courts or the president, gets out of line, somebody has to check them. Just like if Congress gets out of line, the president can veto. There has to always be this checks and balances. And once you walk away from the checks and balances, what you're saying is an unchecked president is not an unchecked president. It's an authoritative ruler. It's an oligarch. You call it what you want. It's a dictator, but it's not a president ruling a republic. And the citizens have to really decide what it is they want to do with the country. At the end of the day, I used to poo-poo voting and saying it really didn't matter. Whoever's going to win is going to win.
Yeah.
Voting is the most important issue, the most important right that we have. There's no other right. The only way we can change this, well, two ways you can change your country. Congress steps up and checks it, or the voters check Congress. They're the two ways. And I've got a hunch this November the voters are going to check Congress. But
okay, now, you just had a mouthful, okay, but let me kind of dissect what you're saying. In our government system, in the United States system, King Charles was here, the anniversary of 250 years here. But the United States had something that we all felt and cherished. We cherished this. We had the congressional part, which is the House of Representatives, and we had a Senate. And the House of Representatives, okay, they have one of their main tasks is to pass 12 bills every year, okay? 12 bills every year, okay, that manage all the departments that make us function. And they had to be approved by the House and by the Senate and signed by the President. And this has not been done. We just got the last task accomplished this past week when the House of Representatives finally passed, got out of the shutdown that we've been in with with them doing their job. And now, that's congressional. The other part that's significant here is that you said that the Congress is supposed to check the president. Well, the president is our second part of our government. Where you said they're not supposed to be best buddies, okay? Sure, they're supposed to work together, but they're supposed to be able, to make sure that they keep each other in line of what's going on. And then you had the judiciary, which is on the lawyers, the courts, from the prosecuting attorney in the little cities, always the Supreme Court, where there's something that we all been proud of those three parts of government working together, okay, and being checked and balanced. But now, when Donald Trump, President Trump, President Trump put those three conservative justices on there, which he did, I think, illegally, what they did before, that now that the Supreme Court, which is controlled by Republicans, the House of Representatives controlled by Republicans, Senate controlled by Republicans, President controlled by Republicans. Now, I'm saying that to say very clearly, Bill, that come November, that the one thing that people can see in common, okay, that Republicans right now are giving people high gas prices, high food prices. I mentioned about the Secretary General of the United Nations saying that this tariffs that we just went through last year, that money got to be paid back that President Trump put us in a hole with, and that the farmers and stuff, are now, at which ends because fertilizer is one of the main things that farmers need, and they can't get it anymore. And then this war that we had going on in Iran, Scott always said it's not called a war. It's not a war, right, Scott?
No.
So right now,
it's whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Well, it's the Alice in Wonderland definition of a war.
Okay, well, so
whatever it is,
So what it is, okay, now has come the time, okay, that the two branches of the government, the House, the congressional people right now, according to our Constitution, is supposed to check the president right now on his war powers. So the big question is, okay, are they going to do that, Bill?
Well, historically, if you look back at since Trump's been here the second time, they haven't checked him on anything. So I think what's going to happen, this is just my opinion, is that they're for some way, shape, or form going to buy in for an extra period of time into the ceasefire idea that there's really nothing happening, so there's nothing to check. The difficulty is that what does that mean? Does that mean that Trump could still go back and bomb them?
Bill, something is happening right now, okay? Because this blockade, okay, is affecting everybody at the gas pump.
Of course it is.
And food prices. Everything that we do is being affected. So right now, we got all the effects of war.
Well, actually, we have all the effects of war, but we have something probably worse. We have a country that cannot control the president. If this was, when Harry Truman wanted to take over the steel industry in the Korean War, the Supreme Court stepped in and said, you can't do that. You can't take private property for government use. When Nixon decided to get rid of the tapes, the Supreme Court stepped in. The problem is, I hate to say this, nobody's stepping in.
No, matter of fact, just for records, okay, you mentioned Harry Truman, okay, that Congress back then was a Democratic Congress in the House and the Senate that checked Democrats who Harry Truman was a Democrat.
And that's how it should work, Ira. Democrats, it's not a question of whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's a question of you're a member of Congress and you have your separate duties from the president.
I just thought I would bring it up so people historically don't understand. Harry Truman was a Democrat. The Congress in those days was controlled by the House and Senate were Democrats. And they checked him, okay, to say, oh, you can't do that. But in those days, there was not the Bill. I think the thing now that we don't talk about enough, people right now, when there's no hate, when there's hate, there's no respect. And that's my Irish folks' definition, okay?
No, you're right.
Okay. And so right now, people that don't dislike each other, they hate each other. And I think now with the mega people right now, and I've been talking to some of our people here about this here locally, with the Supreme Court recent ruling here, it will backfire because everybody see whatever's taking place is being done by one party. And since Donald Trump is taking control, okay, he said, I am the president, I am the Speaker of the House, I am the President of the Senate, all that's me. I control those people. And so right now, when people look back come November, they're going to see a footprint saying Republicans did this to me. Am I right? Can you buy into that?
I hope so. I say that. Look, at the end of the day, I don't want to get into necessarily the last Supreme Court decision on Louisiana and race and redistricting, but it's pretty simple. If the blacks in this country are about 15-16%, and that's a hell of a big number when elections are won by 2%. So I'm just trying to put it in perspective. And if the black community made Trump president, they're going to have to figure out how to unmake him president.
Well, Bill, let me kind of deal with that a little bit, okay? You've been seeing these different polls saying that blacks supported Trump, okay? Well, I'm having a big problem right now, okay, of finding any black now said I supported Trump. And I'm having a problem saying a lot of white people now say, sure, I supported Trump, but I don't support him anymore. I don't. In fact, even in the Democratic House, the Democratic House and Senate, the senators are stepping down. The House Representative members are stepping down because they're not doing anything, and they can't go for the people. I did anything for you, and that's bad.
let me tell you why I think voting may be a problem this year, and it's very intentional by Trump. I live in a congressional district in Virginia, and we've had.
I know a lot going on.
We've had 3 congressmen in 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I mean, one died, but we've had 3 congressmen in 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're going to get another one. I don't even know who the hell it is. I mean, they haven't even told us. I mean, we sort of know if you can read a map and you figure out who's running, but you don't know who's even running. The amount of confusion. Look, I follow politics almost every day. I read every paper I can get a hold of. I do whatever I can do. And I can honestly tell you, I've never seen so much confusion as in Virginia as I have now. And they're trying to make it all Democrat. I get it. But in the confusion, there are going to be a lot of people, whether they be white, black, Latino, whatever the hell they are. They're going to be just as confused as I am, and I am telling you that's going to really hurt the vote. And now you have 7 states that have done this redistricting, and I don't know if the districts are even straight yet. And then you're going to have Louisiana and Alabama moving forward. Soon you have Mississippi and Tennessee. You get down the list. What the hell?
I don't know.
I mean, how do people even know? I mean, look, I understand that they can redistrict, and they're supposed to redistrict for the census, and they're supposed to do it every 10 years, and that makes sense. But it usually was based on population moving in and out of certain places, and you had to adjust it. Okay, so you do that. But right now, the court rules you can not possibly have any redistricting based on race because it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. Okay, let's say we live with this for a second. Well, the next question is, if you can't do it based on race and these people actually vote, how do you do it in politics? Where it's just saying we're doing it for Democrats and Republicans. They're not even doing it on something that's a constitutionally protected category. They're just doing it on politics.
Well,
where did they come up with this?
According to the Constitution, okay, it's supposed to be done by nonpartisan. So if you're doing it for Democrats or Republicans, okay, you're being partisan. Am I right?
Yeah.
But they're saying you're not supposed to be partisan, okay? So if it's not doing it for race, you know what I'm saying? And which is why this whole thing was based on, in our country. Is that for years blacks have been trying to fight to get equal representation. That's been the whole thrust, the whole mantra as we've been trying to go forward. And so now you say race is not important, but see now race has never been more important because now you have back in the old days you said minorities, okay, you spoke only of blacks, but now you said minorities, okay. There's very few white families right now that does not have some black blood. Their daughters and granddaughters and grandkids and great grandkids, either their daughters are getting together with black men. The men are getting together with black women. Okay, so right now, right now you have people of color, and you're diluting that white race.
Well, the white race.
Am I right, Bill?
But the white race is going to be a minority by 2050. So, all these things that they're putting in place to protect themselves, they're going to have the same problems on the other side of the fence.
It is, and that's my point, Bill. They're fighting. They are afraid. That they're going to be mistreated like they mistreated us. That will be the big payback.
No, this is all about fear.
Right, that's what I said. Man, there's a good friend, not a good friend, but the late James Brown had a song called "The Big Payback." I don't know if you recall that. Okay,
I do.
Okay, Big Payback. Well, James Brown was part of my family, through marriage. Okay, but the Big Payback. Okay, when that came out, that was over 60 years ago, Bill. At least 50 years ago. And so now people know that big payback is what's driving, okay? But now saying, so if we look at now, that while the white man had his foot on the neck of the black man, the Hispanics came in, the Asians came in, and we can go down the list, okay? But and so in holding us black, we find out now that that's why he's in the minority now, because all these other races now be calling minorities now.
Right.
I mean, so you cannot, so you can put so much in the minority pot, okay?
Well, but the thing I read that is so hard for me to accept
Okay.
is that we've always been moving forward in this country toward making it more equal to protecting the vote of everyone. That's just,
Right.
Look, we started off with if you had to be a white man owning land to vote, and then you just had to be a white man, and then you had to be.
Let me stop right there, okay? Now, when you had to be a white man, your blood, they went down so forth, so your blood.
Right, but. And then, and women couldn't vote, and they couldn't vote till the 1900s. And
only men.
But step by step, we made things better.
And women are minorities also.
And this is the first time in our history, 250 years, that we're now actually trying to reverse things.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what the problem is that we not only on the foreign affairs side where we're now and we go from defense to being the war machine and the Secretary of War. I mean, that's a disgraceful title. I am the Secretary of War. I want to do war. And so we're turning outward and we're betraying our friends. We're punishing our friends. And then when you turn inward, we're trying to punish minorities. This is not just bad. This is sick. And
Bill, that's the key word. It's sick. It is sick.
But you have. I mean, I hate to tell you, the black community, this election, with 15% of the vote, if you can even move 10% of your vote, you're going to win the elections. And now that what I don't think that they've really thought out is that when they've changed these districts to sort of say, well, the Republicans got a couple percentage advantage, they may or may not have it if the vote changes. Because if you move 5% of the vote and they have a 2 or 3% advantage, you're going to win. And I think that more than ever, the black community really has to decide what it wants to do, because you put Trump in, you're going to have to get him out.
Well, Bill, right now, okay, I think now something that's not being talked about, and I'm going to throw it out here for what it's worth, okay? Trump has 2 sons, okay? Well, I said 3 sons. Now his youngest son right now should, according to the Constitution, be registered for the draft, okay? But we haven't heard yet whether he's registered or not. His other 2 sons right now are robbing the world of all the money they can get. And Joe Biden's son, they thought he had stole some money from somebody in a contract. They thought, and they were going to court to prove that. Donald Trump's sons right now, they're gifters, what you want to call it. Grifters, not gifters. Well, anyway, they taking money hand over feet, and they have no shame about it. Now, the thing that they seem not understand, sure, the president, okay, he's immune from prosecution, but his kids, and seem to forget that once his dad is out of office, and so also his cabinet members, okay, the billionaires, he's gonna protect them while he's in office, okay. But once he's out of office, okay, they have no protection.
Yes, they do. They have a lot of protection. Before he leaves, he's going to pardon everybody. Are you kidding me? He's going to say, you're pardoned for stealing money from Venezuela. You're pardoned for stealing money from consumers. He's pardoning everybody. There won't be anybody who doesn't have a pardon, who's been part of him and part of the corruption. He's going to pardon them all. Look, he pardoned all 16 or 1,700 January 6ers.
Right, and then they went out and started doing more crimes.
Yep. So he's going to protect them because he's got to. We've hit a phase. We've hit a phase in this country that I never. Look, we've had bad presidents before. I mean, I'd be the first to tell you. You know, Herbert Hoover. You know, and some of the Lend leases or some of the oil leases and stuff. You know, that was just chump change. I mean, that was just stupid. It was one guy in his cabinet who did stupid things, and he got rid of him. It was a stupid yes. I mean, Nixon. Did Nixon do stupid things? The stupidest thing he did is, he could have gone on television and said, "Yeah, I had nothing to do. I didn't know that they robbed the thing, but you know something? Whatever the court says, that's what we're going to do." Or he could have said, "I'm going to pardon them all, so they don't have to do anything." Or he could have ordered the Justice Department not to prosecute them. There were a million things he could have done, but he didn't do it. So, I mean, in terms of honor, he's way above Trump.
Bill, there's nobody that can compare to this man, the president. And that's what I'm saying. Bill, when he's out of office, the Republicans will have this southern term will have a hard road to hope. Which is talking about formers that there's a lot of work that will be needed.
I think you're dreaming.
Okay. Well,
I think you're absolutely dreaming, because what's going to happen most likely is he's going to stay in office. He's going to stay in office for the next 3 years. I think the Democrats are probably going to take the House for sure. I don't know whether they take the Senate or not. They might. They're not going to impeach him. The economy's going to be in worse shape. We're still going to be screwing around with wars. And a Democrat president gets in, and a Democrat Congress. And you know something? They're not. It's going to take them 10 years. Not 4, 10 years to straighten things out. We are in such deep shit that you're not going to figure out a way to get out of this thing. Getting out of, he can't even figure out how to get out of the Iran war. He couldn't even.
True. Bill, let me stop you right there, okay? This is a perfect segue into your new book, okay?
Okay.
Which is Congress and the Irrelevant Institution or Guardians of the Republic. This is Bill Kovacs' latest book. And in it, when you read it, okay, you're going to be thinking that he has some insight about how our country used to look, or how he said, how we dreaming forward to look. Because right now, we all dreaming now about how this is going to unfold. Because the one thing that's taking place is the United States used to have respect. And once you lose that respect, these two topics that Bill had in the Irrelevant Institution or a Guardian of the Republic are built on trust. Am I right, Bill?
Trust, but I call it fiduciary responsibility, because once a member of Congress puts their hand up and swears that oath, they owe their duties to the Constitution and to the Congress of the United States. No duties, none to the president or the courts.
Okay, now, Bill, why don't you explain fiduciary, what that actually means to people who know
the courts. Mm-hmm. The court system, and probably the best example of the court system and them being I call them a super legislature in the book, is what they did the other day in the Louisiana case. They came in and said, the court, us with our black robes, don't any longer, we think that the Civil Rights Act has been so effective, we can change the law to make sure it's been repealed.
That's not effective.
Right. So what the court did is they said, Congress isn't going to do it. Congress is pretty happy with the way it was. And the Civil Rights Act, the voting right, it worked. I mean, it worked for 50 years. Mm-hmm. So what they said is, it's no longer going to work, and Congress won't repeal it. So what we're going to do is we're going to repeal it. That's the judiciary being a legislature. That's all that is.
Well, see,
Congress, what Congress needs to do on this stuff, whether it's Trump acting like that or the courts, is Congress has the power to do all of this. Congress is the only institution that has the power. It has the spending power. It has the oversight power. It has the impeachment power. You name it. It can do any of these things. It could impeach the 9 justices on the Supreme Court. It could defund them. I mean, it's unbelievable what it can do.
Well, Bill, let me ask you a question, okay? And this is something that kind of, I know a little bit about the system, okay? Just not to get me in trouble. Now, I never, you talk about the Congress. They control the purse strings. And I always have been taught, okay, you control the purse strings, you can kind of control your destination to some degree. And so right now, the Congress controls, the salaries, the funding of the justices. They control the funding of the president. They control the funding of all the different departments and stuff. Well, what does Donald Trump have on them, okay, that they refuse to speak up like men and women and do their job?
Who on the judges, the justices?
Yeah, all of them. Well, they're just
like everybody else. They're like Hexed or Bondi or any of the others. They just want to keep their jobs, and they know that if they do what Trump wants, they'll keep their jobs, and he won't be embarrassing them in public. I think it's that simple. I don't think there's anything fundamental. They just want to keep their jobs, and they want everybody to like them. And they have a choice. They can either rule the right way and have him upset with them and criticizing them and tell them they're rogue justices and that they're incompetent, or he can sort of say, it was a good ruling, I like these people. Which would you rather have?
Well, Bill, I'm kind of, call me crazy, okay? I want to do my job. And satisfying the president, okay, is not something that I've ever read any place in our Constitution, in our documents saying, my job, okay, in the House or the Senate, is to make the president happy.
Well, look, I spent 2 years and a whole book writing about the fact that they owe the country and they owe the Congress and they owe the Constitution. They don't owe anything to the president. And their job is to make sure that the president only has one job, is to execute the laws of the United States. Not his laws, not his executive orders, not his emergencies, the laws passed by Congress. And Congress, this has been going on. I mean, if you read, I'm just going to read one sentence to you. For more than a half a century, presidents of both parties have steadily expanded their power, while Congress has quietly surrendered its own. Each new president inherits and enlarges the authority of the last, eroding the separation of powers that protects liberty and leaving the people unrepresented by the one branch, the only branch of government they elect, the Congress.
Well, Bill,
that's the problem.
Bill, when I read that, okay, a chill went through my body, okay, to be honest with you, okay? Because one thing that I learned, that once a person gets power, they do not get power back.
That is true.
You know what I mean? That's, and so now, having said that, we find ourselves that what is being created, the word minority is something that they're trying to, that has changed so much over the definition is. When I was with the city of St. Louis back in the 80s, and we had an ordinance that we had, and they had said that 25%, I think it was, in the ordinance for the build our cable system had to be minorities, okay? Then they said that 10% had to be female. Now, what happened was during that time period, okay, I saw my boss, okay, who's a white woman, gradually instituted women, okay, in the minority. But now women are now part of the minority when they use the word minority. So now here the Supreme Court justice, justice right now saying that the Constitution says nonpartisan, and that minorities are the ones that we're trying to protect from the white man now. And now the white man now has removed that protection away from being protected. And now any group, be it women, be it gays or whoever, okay, they all fall up under the word minority now. And the minority party getting kind of fat, Bill.
Yeah.
Everybody will be called a minority now.
So what's the point?
So the point is, if come November, that minorities is the ones that's being hated now, I kind of hard to see that there wouldn't be a change in both houses. That there wouldn't be, because right now the minorities are the ones that's being stepped on. They're trying to take power away from.
Well, let me go back to my scenario that I had before. You wake up in the morning on election day and nobody knows where to vote. I mean, I can honestly tell you, I voted at Great Falls School for my whole life, and now all of a sudden, the last time I had to go to the library. I mean, that's the first thing is you don't even know where the polling place is. The second thing is, I've had three different congressmen, so I'm not even sure what names I've even got to see, and I haven't seen anything written about anybody who's even running in the district. So that's the next thing.
And that's bad, Bill. That's bad.
And then you have, Trump. Let's say he decides he declares an emergency and sends the National Guard in to supervise the elections and to seize the ballots and stuff. Look, he's done it before. He's done it He's done it in Georgia and a few other places. You don't know. All of this confusion makes people say, "Who cares?" I mean, I'm being serious.
No, Bill. I know you are, okay, and I know, and we should be serious, okay. It's creating, not a fictitious, okay, but what's sort of like a fact that may materialize on what we hope that don't take place.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, for the next 6 months or whatever, you're going to have efforts to not allow, to restrict mail-in ballots and stuff. So
Bill, help me understand this, okay?
It's going to be a problem.
Right now, the ballots, I vote, I know I voted, okay? But here in St. Louis County, in this area, they've made it now that you can vote at any polling place now, not just in the one.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right now, in St. Louis County, we have our main library.
That's in pre-election voting.
Well, Bill.
Not on the day of voting, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Wow.
And not only that, Bill. Not only that, the mail-in ballots. The president mailed in his ballot, this last time out.
Right.
And there have been 0.00000 evidence of anybody cheating in mail-in voting. It has proven to be a very successful way of voting. Am I right?
Well, I mean, I think his position is that mail-in voting allows people who were more likely to vote against him to vote, and right. so he wants to eliminate it. I mean, but
these are the people, because you got more and more people like myself and like you, Bill. Because you're a little older than I am. We don't get out like we used to. And mail-in voting was created, okay, for people like us. We don't get out like they used to.
But it was very limited in those days. I mean, the problem is, it's like everything else, I think. Mail-in voting had a very good purpose. People who couldn't make it to the polls or were disabled or whatever, they were able to do it. And then for people who were out of town, and now it's for everybody, just because you just don't feel like voting.
Right. Right now, you don't have to have an excuse.
Yeah. So it's like everything else. It got too much.
Okay, but I still don't see how. Well, where it hasn't proven, okay, to be, there's been corruption found in people voting. Because I used to be here many years ago in our system here, okay, mail-in ballots, okay, was one way, one way that they thought it was being corrupt, okay. No, and that was only here in St. Louis, in Missouri. But I never heard that anyplace else. Now, having said that, the Republicans created, for the most part, mail-in voting to make it convenient for their people. And now they want to reverse that. And that's why I said a few minutes ago that when it comes to families now, generational families, like I said, I got great grandkids. Like you probably have great grandkids. You know, and in my family tree now, okay, I have, people of color. I mean, people who are not of color. You know, I have a grandson. You know, I mean, he's about as white as white can be. You know what I'm saying? And then we got some other, nationalities that's all little folks. So again, you can't just say that minorities have to be, you got to be black. That's not true.
No, it's not true.
So now that goes back to Bill, what you said earlier in our conversation here, that the Supreme Court was trying to say that they want to be nonpartisan, but now you got to be partisan, okay, for what they're doing.
Well, I think the last time I was on your show, I was going over a study, and I forget what think tank it predicts, but they went over, I'm going to say 2,700 court rulings to decide, and they looked at who appointed the judge and what was his ruling, what the administration wanted. And they found out that like 72% or 80% of all the rulings were a Republican would vote Republican and a Democrat would vote Democrat. So the judiciary is no more impartial. They're not these umpires that John Roberts talks about. They're just politicians, and we've all got to come. And again, going back to the role of Congress, Congress has to supervise the courts too. We've let these courts just be free agents. They're not free agents. They have a constitution like we do, and they have laws passed by Congress, and Congress needs to get involved in this stuff.
But that brings me back to something that you work on the Hill, okay? Person to person, hand to hand combat, for lack of better description. How can we, as an idiot people out there in America, how can we make our congressmen? Because right now, what has done? What I answered, what you answered a few minutes ago. Why are they so afraid, the Republican Party? I know how the cabinet members are, because they want to keep their jobs, because they want to remain on his good side.
Yeah, I think it's that simple.
Okay, but when it comes to congressional people, okay, I know they got the MAGA people, but right now a lot of people make America great again. I said MAGA, but right now a lot of them are very unhappy about the way things are going.
Yeah, well, they're still not going to change because they don't want Trump to put in. He's got a lot of money sitting in a PAC, and he doesn't want to have them. He doesn't want the members of Congress don't want Trump to use the money to defeat them. It's that simple. It comes down to, look, I told this story to you guys on the radio before. When I left Congress and went into private law practice, the question that always bugged me.
Now, you say you left Congress, okay? That's strange that you said that.
When I left the Hill.
Left the Hill, okay? So you were
I was the chief counsel.
But you're not the chief, no.
Right. When I left, there was one question that always, because there are a few members of the committee that I was on that committed crimes and went to jail, and one of them actually was just getting out of jail when I was going into private practice, and we had dinner one night, and I asked him directly that question: what makes a member of Congress take bathrooms or money under the table or free trips, or what makes them do this? And the answer shocked me so much I was speechless. Yeah. And he said, they are the best treated people in the world. Their kids always get scholarships to the college they want. They always get the lowest price in a car. They're invited into every real estate deal. Everything that good that happens in their district, they are invited into, and they make money on it. And sometimes they cross the line. And I think it's really that simple. We're looking at all these sinister things of, are they with Trump? Are they conspiring? Nobody's conspiring. I hate to say it, nobody's conspiring with anybody, Ira. What's happening is they're sitting there saying, I've got this plush job. I have drivers. I have everybody who adores me. They do whatever I want. Everybody comes up to me and talks to me because I'm a member of Congress. I can't go anywhere without somebody saying what a great person I am. They don't want to give that up. They don't want to give it up because they don't want to be attacked by Trump. They don't want their constituents to do it, and they know that their friends will help them make money. That's a great gig, Ira. That is a great gig. And
That's fantastic.
It's our fault for electing these people. They won't even stop insider trading. Nancy Pelosi would know.
They're making money off hand over feet.
Yeah. Nancy Pelosi made...
Bill, they made money toe over toe, not feet over feet, toe over toe. It's because of that money.
What's the point?
They made somebody that says toe over toe.
Okay.
No, that's how dense it is. What I'm saying.
Yeah. Look. Pelosi made $5 million. Trump made $5 billion. I don't know what to tell you. You talked about, Hunter Biden made a couple million. That's chump change. Today these guys are making whatever. They make $400,000 or $500,000 just having inside information from committee information on betting. It's again, I come back to, and the whole purpose of the book, it's to ask a very simple question. Congress, is it an irrelevant institution, or is it guardian of the Republic? And the whole thesis is, the way they're going right now is they're totally irrelevant. If you got rid of the whole Congress today, nothing would change.
Okay,
but they have the power to be guardians of the Republic and guardians of freedom, and that's what the citizens have to do. The citizens have to make sure that these people are the guardians.
But Bill, I come to point 6 in your book, okay, and it kind of gets to the crust of the matter, to be honest with you, which says government must operate for public purposes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the only reason you have a government.
Well, that's what I said. To me, okay, the number 6 get to the crust of the matter. That's the whole purpose, okay. My Congressman Wesley Bell, going to Congress back, asking for re-election now, is to go up there, okay, and provide representation for me, our folks, my family, and people in our 1st Congressional District here in the St. Louis area. And there was a time you would say, bring home the bacon for your district. Well, they now took that out, and you can't say that anymore. But at the same time, we're looking at dollars being creating new ways to give us money. I guess that's where the power comes in, Bill.
No, the power is what allows him to get the money.
I understand.
Once he has the power. But think about what it's doing to the whole country. You have one person who's sitting there saying, I'm going to enrich myself. And he lets his cabinet enrich himself. And he lets his, he lets his envoys to the war, to the negotiating table, make business deals and make money. Everybody's making money. And I'm telling you, he's going to pardon them all. And we're going to look like the dumbest group of people in this country you have ever seen.
In the world.
And the world is laughing at us right now. They know what intelligence is.
Bill, they got these cartoons now, over in Iran, okay, about Donald Trump, about him sleeping, all the things that they laugh about, that Joe was sleeping, Joe or whatever, okay, and this man just goes to sleep in a meeting. He don't try to hide it.
Shit, I wish he'd sleep 24 hours a day. It'd be safer.
We would be, but the one thing that we haven't broached at all here, which is something that I think It's gonna affect a whole lot of people in this cabinet, and as people around the world. Is what is happening with the Epstein files. When is that going? Because right now over England, in the other parts of the world, where these powerful businessmen who have always trying to get access to some small young girls, defend sides of being with them and stuff, and that they are paying no price for that. And now in our country, okay, our Justice Department said we don't want to talk about it. And, in the whole world talking about it. God bless you. The whole world's talking about it, but we're not talking about it.
Well, what would you like us to do? I mean, Trump's not going to release any of this information. That's never going to happen. Biden didn't release any of it. Obama didn't release any of it. This has been going on since 1996.
Yeah, but that's the thing that gets me, okay, is, like I said, none of these presidents have seen fit. And I use the word seen fit. But I think I got daughters, you got daughters, you got a daughter, stuff for me. And if anyone in my family, the young ladies in my family, have been affected by something like this, I want somebody, and I'm paying my congressman right now for my kids, me to get justice for my family. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
But I guess for you and I'm much more of I don't want to say realist, but
that's the word. That's the word, Bill. Go ahead. I'm kind of romantic.
I just don't think you can. I don't think you can expect the federal government to do anything. I don't think, frankly, you can expect local governments to do anything. I mean, the other day, my wife was going on about something, and she said, "Why is this happening?" And I said, "Well, who is going to care about taking on this problem? It was a local problem on dead trees and stuff. Very insignificant. But who do you think is? They're not going to care until a tree falls and kills somebody. Then everybody will care. Trying to get government to do anything is one of the most impossible tasks you will ever do in your life. And when you really sit back and think about where does the money go? You can look at a budget and say, well, there's $200 billion in healthcare, $200 billion in this, and it does, but it's a really big distribution system. That's all it is, a redistribution system.
Okay. Yeah, right now, the other day, I kind of tried to see some articles, okay, because I'm trying to, describe how crazy local government could be. So bear with me for a second. Here in St. Louis, Missouri, St. Louis and Kansas City are the only two cities in the entire country where the police boards are controlled by the state. The only two in the whole country. Now,
the police boards?
Right, the police boards. The commissioners are appointed by the governor. And then that goes back to during the time of the Civil War. They had all the armory, all the guns and stuff in the intentions, and they didn't want the Confederates they didn't want the Confederates to get the gun. That's how that came about. Now, St. Louis just got back. The state got back control of the police board again. Now, in the last month and a half, the St. Louis Police Board, they've been back and forth fighting, okay? And they came in and said they want 25% of the budget of the city of St. Louis. And that's how much the budget they want to give to the police department. Straight up and down.
How much?
25% of the budget for the St. Louis city has to go to the police department. And the city is saying we cannot afford that. Now, and so now the police board, and they're going back and forth, okay? And they're fighting back and forth here. Now, here in St. Louis, they had some issues with the police boards. A lot of people, officers, have shot, killed people, and their families, they have been sued for millions of dollars, and they have lost. They got to pay this money. The police board does, and they're saying the city got to pay this money. Now, so now, the St. Louis the state is telling them they do the board, we do not have money. So there's an article that came out just yesterday, the other day, that I tried to see your copy of, and it's confusing. Whereas the police board right now, they're saying now, okay, that they do not have an answer. They're taking the fifth, okay, about the city, about the money they asking from the city to protect the city, police to protect themselves. And if it sounds confusing, Bill, that's how confusing it is. And that's why I can't ask you, because it's a confusing issue that you probably find different places around the country where the government itself, okay, is becoming more complicated for the average person to understand what's going on.
Well, most governments, I don't know why they'd be taking the fifth, unless they think it was an intentional crime, because most governments have some form of limited immunity for their actions.
Right, that's true. But for them to take the fifth, okay, to me just blew my mind. And
well, that means that they think there's criminal liability.
Right. In matter of fact, the lawyer for the police board told them to take the fifth. That's the other crazy part about it.
Well, again, it's how I sound like a broken record, but it's how the system breaks down. They've got limited immunity. They've got all kinds of immunity, so they're not going to be sued. The public's going to have to pay for any judgments if they do something wrong.
Right.
And then they come in and they take the fifth. Nobody does anything. Nobody supervises them. We just keep letting it go.
Right.
But it's our fault. It's our fault.
I know. And here in St. Louis, okay, the Democrats are in power in St. Louis City. And the governor is a keyhole, is a governor, is Republican. And one of his main things was he wanted to take control of the police board back from the city. So I'm saying that to say, Bill, as we look forward to the primaries, in come November, almost everything that's related to Republicans right now, around the states, as I look at them, is that Republicans label things, okay, are creating chaos for most people where they live at.
Well, I sort of agree with you, but on November, whatever day the election is.
I take that, Bill. I take that. Thank you, sir.
But whatever day the election is, I guess I'm just not as positive as you that all this confusion is going to turn into votes. Historically, the Republicans thought one was in 2018 that they were going to take 30 seats. They ended up with 2. I mean, I just, with all the chaos, I'm just not sure what's going to happen.
Well, Bill, I have to agree with you, okay, that the more I look at come November, that there's some things out there that's not going to materialize as they probably normally would have in a normal situation, because we're not living in normal times now. And I think that's going to be one of the problems about the coming election, okay, is that nothing is normal in the time that we're dealing with presently right now. And that's what we have, and there is the problem that we are having as we try to go forward.
But how do we return it? The question is, how do you return it to normal? I mean, we can sit here and complain, but how do you return it?
Well, Bill, that's why your book, okay, I told you when I first started reading, okay, your book is a common sense book, okay. And like one of the things you said in chapter 19, the ghost of policy yet to come is still in the room.
Yes.
Now that's a mouthful, Bill.
5 minutes, Mr. Ira.
Okay, thank you.
The ghost of politics is still in the room, and and until the members of Congress really decide that they're going to be fiduciaries to the Constitution and to the Congress, the ghost stays there, and the ghost is going to eat them away. There's no ghost in the White House. That's a power center that's unnaturally developed, and the ghost has helped it develop. But every president comes in and they see their big house and they want a bigger house and they want this and they want money. Just think about one thing, and I there's somewhere I wrote something about this the other day. Think about waking up after the election, taking your oath, and you're the president of the United States. You have access. You have control over virtually every single life there. Any person you pick out of a phone book, you can destroy. That's the first thing. Any person, you've got control of all the assets. So you've got all the land of the United States is yours. The $5 or $6 trillion that come in taxes is yours. Everything is yours. Everything in the entire United States is yours or yours to destroy. Mm-hmm. Think about what that does to your head.
That's right.
You don't look at it and say I have boundaries or I have restrictions. You look at it as I can do anything, as opposed to having a Congress who says no, you can't. That's why I come after Congress, because unless Congress does it, nobody's going to do it. And the Congress needs to go after the president, and they need to go after the courts. And then on this last case with this Louisiana case, Congress needs just the legislature.
Okay. God bless you again, Bill.
Yeah.
As we get it kind of wind down here, what would the possibilities? Okay, one of the I'd like to kind of create solutions to problems. What are the likelihood? Okay, that the only way you can change the Supreme Court right now is probably add more justices to dilute the power. What are your thoughts about that?
Then you just add. I mean, look, I talk about that in the book too. That's one of the options for control. Mm-hmm. But you expand it and somebody else expands it. I mean, how far do you go? The point is, you've got to find justices who don't have political beliefs.
And they all lie. They all lie when they sit there and lie to the congressmen, to the senators at the time. Oh no, I swear for God, no, I would never. Oh no, they just straight up lie. And the next day, what they sworn in, they forgot what they said.
Well, if what's the old statement? How do you know when a politician is lying? Or how do you know when a politician is telling the truth? Their lips stop moving. And that's sort of what it is. It's like all these justices are so full of it, and the congressmen are full of it. The fact is that the American people have to vet these people a little bit better.
You know something real funny, Bill? You can laugh at this. Now you throw AI in there. We really got to that.
Oh, that's AI is AI. If you think we got problems now, you wait.
Now, that's what I said. I was asking. You think that's crazy? Just throw AI in that. Okay.
When I see some of these pictures, like this one beautiful woman who's like the top influencer in the United States, she's AI. I mean, It's really freaky as to what these people are able to do. But
Bill, I'm starting to use that, do it more. And we talk about it out there, what I'm something to do. And it's frightening, Bill, because it takes you so far out to where the facts should be at. And that's something people that used to have other facts.
Well, AI is not going away, so.
Oh no, that's why I just didn't get into AI.
That is a big conversation.
Listen, I won't try to go down a rabbit hole. Okay, that's going down a well, not a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole's not that big.
That's the old story of Jonas and the whale. I don't know what he was looking at. AI is a discussion for the future, because I mean, what it can do not only to politics but wars and everything else.
It's right. Everything. But Bill, first of all, Bill, as we kind of wind up here, is there anything that you want to close with here? You got a couple of minutes out to yourself.
No, but if anybody who wants to buy my book. I would really be appreciated if you would read it, because I think Congress and the relevant institution regarding to the Republic really solidifies a lot of things that I've been thinking about for a long time, and that is we as the American people only elect one branch of government. The courts are appointed, and the Electoral College elects the president. We've got to get more out of our Congress. They